Welcome back. So Ghana's opposition leader, John Mahama, has officially been declared the winner of the country's presidential elections. The Electoral Commission of Ghana on Monday confirmed that Mahama had won 56% of the vote. He defeated ruling party candidate and Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, who received only 41% of votes. Mahama previously ruled from 2012 up until 2017. His re-election to offer signals an end for the ruling New Patriotic Party, which is governed for 8 years. Let's get some perspective on this, and for that we're joined by a Ghanaian journalist with Joy News Blessed Sogah. Joins us for an update on the ground, speaking to us live from Accra. Blessed, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with this. Here it is, the day that we officially say that, okay, Mahama has been declared the victor in this election. We did, of course, see the concession over the weekend, though, by the Vice President. But I'm keen to hear just I suppose, the atmosphere at the declaration of Mahama's return to the presidential office. Explain it. Is it jubilance, excitement?
As we speak now, we're expecting John Mahama to address the nation, because a couple of minutes ago, the Electoral Commission officially put the figures out, indicating clearly an overwhelming majority for John Mahama, who's once served as president of the Republic. Giving the sheer margin of votes, it's been jubilation ever since the provisional figures were released by the campaign of John Mahama, putting him in the lead ahead of the main declaration that we're witnessing today. So it's been a jubilant mood over the past 24 hours for main supporters of the opposition parties. And of course, now we're getting to see that it is now confirmed. And so in a few moments from now, we're expecting John Mahama himself to speak at a ceremony that's been held now in his office. And we have rank and file of the opposition party and also some newly elected members of parliament who are now trooping into the office of the former president, now president-elect, to serve for the next 4 years here in Ghana.
Lots to talk about, because we're talking about a country that, for one, was one of our oldest democracies, one of the first country on the African continent to be liberated. So its democratic story, an important one for the rest of the continent. But then there's also the issue of, this is a country that, much like the US, sees the return of a former president. What was it that you think was that, I suppose, the decider in that return that he saw as a president, you know, and his campaigning ticket, where Ghana has been facing massive debt problems?
Indeed, there were a number of pre-election surveys from both international and local analytics companies. We saw the prediction by EIU, Fitch, also one of the ratings agencies gave their prediction ahead of the main elections, all putting, you know, the figures tilting towards the favor of John Mahama. Now, in all of these surveys, one key thing appears to be trumped up, which is the issue about the economy. Even the Global Info Analytics, one of the main local think tanks and also analytics company, had then put out the figures, pointing out that a significant majority of the electorate going into the polls had felt that the economy matters to them most. For the benefit of your viewers who might not understand what's happening in Ghana now, the country is currently running an austerity economic plan with the International Monetary Fund. So it's been pretty much a slow economic performance for the country, a reason for which many believe that they want someone who's much more promising, who has that pledge on their manifesto to reset the Ghanaian economy and to put it on track. I must also say that the pre-election survey pointed out much more that the main winner now, John Mahama, had campaigned more on the issue of the economy. So the domestic election observers released 2 or 3 different pre-election surveys, and all of them pointed out that the opposition had campaigned much more on the issue of the economy as compared to the governing party, which did just about 60% of their manifesto campaign largely on issues of the economy. But the reverse is the case when it comes to education, because the flagship free senior high school policy was the trump card of the governing party. That's what they were selling much more to the base of the party and Ghanaians. But unfortunately, Ghanaians felt that the economy mattered to them most.
Okay. If we go back to when last he was in the presidential office, I know that he had tried to go back in 2016 and certainly in 2020, but falling short there. But in the period between 2012 and 2017, I suppose what moments really best characterized his presidency, and if there is a sort of nostalgia where that is concerned?
I think pretty much his challenge was about the energy sector at the time. The energy sector, as we know it in Ghana, has been very wobbly. Issues at the time he was president had got to do with generation capacity. But by the time John Mahama was leaving power, it was clear, and the data is backing him now, that he had fixed the generational capacity challenges of the country, except that when the government came into power in 2017, they kept the lights on until the very last few moments now, where liquidity challenges are becoming a problem for Ghana, simply because of the economic challenges we're facing. So we had a number of independent power producers, and a number of energy companies coming after the Republic of Ghana simply because we were defaulting on both our local and external debt. And so that's pretty much the challenge that he had, fixing the generational capacity challenges, which he had done just at the tip end of his tenure in 2016. So for the past 7 to say 8 years, this government had had a smooth takeoff in terms of having the capacity to generate until the very last moment, when, of course, the liquidity challenges emerged. So he's now promising that he's fixed, the capacity problems. He's confident that with his 24-hour economic policy plan, he will then be able to, address the liquidity challenges as well, because that will be very reliant on a buoyant energy sector. So he has no choice than to, fix that sector as well. Okay,
and just two questions before I let you go. And the last one, of course, being, well, here we are, former President John Mahama, now President-elect of Ghana, took us through the process and the road towards inauguration, some of that pomp and ceremony, what that's going to look like. And then I think just as a final thought is as well, Blessed, is, as we've been watching as African countries, those that have had their elections this year, what a year for African politics. What African countries should be taking from this election from Ghana?
Yeah, indeed, over half, of the world's population had gone through some level of democratic or, if I must say, political transition across the world. Ghana is no exception, and we're just in that period of, political transition. Per the Constitution, official handover will be done on the 7th of January, where John Mahama will officially start running office. He has a 100-day pact or social agreement with the people of Ghana, which includes, according to him, recovering all the loot or corruption activities of this government. But beyond that as well, Ghana has once again proven that it is an oasis of democracy, especially within the West African sub-region. This is a region that is currently experiencing the highest form of military takeover in the whole of Africa. And so for Ghana to make this process as smooth as possible, with the help of the international community and, of course, the regional body, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, there is a clear indication that Ghana is indeed a beacon of democracy in Africa, and will, of course, giving hope and inspiration to the rest of the sub-region to stay through to the cause of democracy.
Very interesting. We'll be watching the road towards the 7th of January. Blessed, thank you so much for giving us an update. I know that you'll be watching some of those activities as now President-elect John Mahama takes to the podium as well to speak on those election results being announced today. He's the former president of Ghana and now President-elect.